Welcome to Crooners and Coffeeshops, everyone. My name is Heather. Today I have Brompton from the band Wilmette here to discuss their latest EP as well as other fun musical things. Brompton, would you kind of like to give us a little bit of an intro as to how you got started in music?
Sure. I've been playing music for, I don't know, like 16 years now, I would say. It's been a minute. Started playing music with my friends. Have been in bands ever since I was in high school. And then through being in different bands, it just kind of have moved from a couple bands to a couple other bands. I'm in two other bands as well currently. So, I mean, it's a whole bunch of everybody knows everybody type of a situation going on.
I feel like it's the same thing here in LA. And I kind of wanted to go into a little bit on Wilmette, and we could also talk about your other bands later. But everybody loves a good how we met story, and I would love to hear about how Wilmette came to be.
Sure. So I'm actually the newest member of Wilmette. I know that they all went to high school together, and I think some of them went to grade school together or junior high as well.
Wow,
But
that's impressive.
they've all known each other for quite some time. I've known Peyton for like 6 or 7 years now. So Peyton was kind of like my in to the project. Peyton and I used to work together. We used to work for Vans. I was in other bands, and then Wilmette kind of started, and our bands played together. And then when they needed a guitarist to fill in for some touring, Peyton asked me, and I was like, yeah, sure, that's cool. That sounds like fun. And then it ended up changing from being like a temporary thing to them being like, can you just stay? And I was like, all right, like I already know all the music anyway, so that, it's fun. I love it. So that's kind of how I came to be in the band. But, as far as the rest of them, they've all kind of known each other for years, and everybody kind of started playing music separately. Aiden and Aaron are brothers, so, I mean, they're kind of stuck together no matter what. But, everybody else kind of just came into their own being a musician, and the band kind of just came to be. It was just kind of cool. A bunch of friends jamming originally in a basement. And then, like so many other bands, it just kind of got a little bit more serious and a little bit more serious. And then here we are now.
Yeah, I mean, it's always fun to like hear when it like started off as like a temporary thing, and then they're like, but we love you, just never leave, we don't want you to ever go away.
Well, I mean, sometimes they want me to go away, but
I mean, that's such as life. We do get tired of the same people.
But yeah, no, it was cool. I get along with everybody really well. Like I said, I've known Peyton for like 6 or 7 years, so like he's just a great friend of mine. And so it's really cool to be able to be in a project with, someone that you've known for that long and that you knew like outside of music to begin with. So that that was just really cool too.
Yeah, definitely. The power of Vans.
Yeah, we were there for a minute too. So I mean, it was cool. Great company to work for.
I've heard only good things. But since you mentioned that you are in other bands, how is working with Wilmette a little bit similar or different than that of your other bands that you're in?
So other bands like that I've been in, the other two bands, Knockout Kid and Action Adventure, that I'm currently in, everybody kind of works a little bit differently. So you have to kind of really figure out like the flow of the writing process and how everybody works together. Everybody in a band typically has like jobs and responsibilities within the project. So it's kind of just like any other group or team project. Like everybody just has to figure out kind of how everything works together and how everybody can, build and benefit off of each other's strengths and weaknesses. So, I mean, Wilmette's pretty cool. Everybody's like really open-minded. Like if anybody has any ideas, we can, kind of bring it to the rest of the dudes, and, everybody listens, and it's great. It's actually really like laid back, which is nice. I've been involved with projects and stuff where like everything is just like super like kind of rigid, but it's it's definitely not like that. And I mean, most of the time whenever we all get together, we have to like write or record or practice or shoot videos or do any of that. We're honestly just messing around most of the time anyway. So
that's always a good thing when you can work and also have fun.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It's like a life mullet. You can get down to business, but you can also party.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna put that on a shirt one day.
That's a pretty good shirt. Yeah, I'd wear that shirt. That's a pretty good shirt.
Okay, merch just for Wilmette. Exclusive opportunity right here. And you guys are riding the highs of your recently released self-titled EP. For those who haven't yet rocked out to it yet, what should listeners be expecting lyrically and thematically in terms of the instrumentation?
I would say that it's definitely like more technical than Space to Breathe and Anxious Body. A lot of the guitar work and even the drums, like Aiden really killed it on like performing the drum parts in studio. I remember when we were tracking, it was like, oh, you're already done? Like, that's awesome. Yeah, so that, I mean, it's definitely a lot more technical though. And I can definitely say that when Griffin was writing a lot of his parts and stuff, I remember him mentioning that it was like he was really like pushing himself to kind of think outside of like what he would typically write, which was really cool. And I think that we got a lot of really interesting and fun parts out of it. I mean, some of the sections and transitions into breakdowns and stuff are some of the most fun parts that I get to play. So it's definitely something that's like an evolution of what the first two records were. So that's really cool. And I'd say like thematically, this record was a lot about relationships, both platonic and romantic. I think that it's written in a way that pretty much anyone can relate to it, which is great. It's not very like my girlfriend broke up with me or whatever. It's kind of open-ended, and I know that when everything was getting written, I remember, when we were in the studio going over stuff and talking to Peyton and being like, man, this is pretty cool. Like everybody, it's so open-ended, like you can kind of take what you need from it to relate to it. So I would definitely say it's about relationships and that it is more technical than previous releases.
And which song would you say was your favorite to write and or record if they're two separate songs?
So there's a song on there. It was actually the last single that we released, Rancho Cucamonga. And it's just got like a really cool bridge section in it that it like kind of really sucks in and gets like a little bit more quiet, like clean guitars. And then Peyton does some really cool screams over it. And then it opens up into like this really big instrumental part. It's not the most technical on the record, but I just kind of like feel it when I play it. It's a lot of fun. I think that was my favorite to record for sure. Because, like, when you have an idea in your head, there's like a 50-50 chance it'll come out the way that you actually envisioned it. And it was really cool getting to listen to the playback, like, after we recorded some of these parts, especially like this one part, and just like being in the studio and like everybody was just like, holy shit, like, this is awesome. Like, this is going to be great. So, yeah, that's probably my favorite from the recording process.
It's always fun to like hear about how just like in love you are with a certain piece of work, and like you just knew in your heart and your soul and all the blood, sweat, and tears that this was just going to come out amazing, and then it does, and it makes it all the much better.
Oh, for sure.
A fun question for you. If you could choose 3 artists to go on a world tour with, who would you choose and what would you name your tour?
Oh my God, this is a tough question. There's like a lot of names running through my head right now. Picking just 3 is really hard. And also, like, there's so many different types of tours. Like, would I want it to be just a ridiculous, like, this is hilarious, why would we do this type of tour? Or would it be like, this is like the coolest thing we've ever done? I think it'd be really cool to go out with the Story So Far.
Ooh. Starting off strong.
Yeah, I know that like there's a lot of like real low key influence from the Story So Far on the new record. I know Griffin like loves them, and so I think that would be really cool. I think it would be really cool also. I love 4 Years Strong, so I think that would be really self-serving, but I think that would be awesome to have them on as well. For the third one, I think I'm going to go with this one SoundCloud artist that Peyton showed us when we were recording named Cuddy Grandson. He's just kind of like a local rapper, and he's just like super earnest, and he just does him all the time, and I think that'd be good vibes on that tour. I think it'd be pretty awesome, actually. So I'm going to say the Story So Far, 4 Years Strong, Wilmette, Cuddy Grandson. That would be a crazy tour.
Woo! And what would you name your tour?
How did we get here? That's what I would name it. How did we even get here?
The How Did We Ever Get Here tour
Yeah, there you go.
2021.
There you go.
And what do you hope that your audience will take away from your music?
I think that personally, I would hope that the audience can take away whatever they need out of the music. It's not necessarily, I don't feel like it's really more so the artist's place to be like, this is what you should take away from it. I think that whatever the person is looking for and whatever they get out of it, as long as it helps them or as long as it's enjoyable or as long as it's a positive reaction to it, I think that's what's the most important. And like I said earlier, I like how a lot of this thematically is a little more open-ended and it's kind of just about relationships in general. So I hope that people can take whatever they need to from it to progress and move forward with whatever they need to get through. I think that that's really important. And it's something that, a lot of people get kind of caught up in we're going to be this type of band or we're going to be that type of band. But I think that it's really important to remember that you should definitely write what you want to write, what you want to play. And, I just think that that's like something that's really important. A lot of people, get really caught up in and just totally forget and maybe even sometimes abandon. So I just want people to enjoy it and be stoked on it. I think that's the most important part.
Absolutely. And I really like that you brought up bands kind of being a certain depiction of themselves as a band, and sometimes you realize like maybe this wasn't the type of music that I was supposed to be making. Yes, this was fun at the time and such, but people grow and they realize like these are the types of songs that I want to make. I feel the most passionate about that and no one should judge me.
Yeah, and I mean there have been bands that I listen to where after a while the music just changed so much that personally I wasn't into it anymore. But I mean, if that's what they genuinely wanted to make, then that's totally on them. Like at the end of the day, like they're making the music for themselves as much as they're making it for the fans and other people. So as long as they're getting what they need to out of it, they're doing it and they're not just doing it for like sales or anything, then yeah, I mean, that's more power to them. If that's what they want to do, then that's what they want to do. I totally get that.
Yeah, and inspiration comes in so many different forms, and maybe one day you'll have this like Marilyn Manson will do a pop song. I don't think it would ever happen, but you never know, kind of thing.
That would be interesting.
That would be interesting. And kind of to like end off the interview portion, I know you guys just released your EP, and the rest of 2020 / maybe 2021 is still up in the air. But what other big exciting things should we be expecting from you guys?
Well, we're starting to write stuff again, so that's pretty cool. So we're gonna, continue going forward. Obviously, with COVID, everything is just kind of up in the air, so we don't really know exactly what's going on. We don't know when we're going to be able to get back on the road. We did have a bunch of tentative plans for touring for this year that obviously, weren't able to happen, so that's a bummer. But, definitely we want to get back out and visit all these other cool cities as soon as possible. Definitely going to be hopefully looking to start demoing and tracking some stuff sometime soon. Might do some singles or there's so many different options now. Pretty much every band of our size or every local band, like everybody has to kind of pivot and just change what they were doing, because before it was all right, release a couple of singles, release a record, play some shows, start writing again, release more singles, play more shows. It was it was just that cycle. But now, because so much of it is it has to be internet based, and like bands of our size, we can't really do like these crazy cool like live stream production shows, and we're not playing drive-in concerts or anything like that. So being able to find new ways to connect with our audiences and continue releasing things, that's kind of the name of the game at this point. So hopefully we're going to be able to start producing some more content as time goes on. I mean, luckily, we just had 3 music videos and the record just came out. So for a little bit, we're good, but we're definitely not going to be like slowing down or anything. We're going to, keep trying to build off of the momentum of the release and just, try and push forward so that we can get out the other end and then kind of go back to whatever the new normal is.
Ah, yes. Everybody got spun on top of their heads with
Oh yeah.
the pandemic. So definitely some mental breakdowns on my end. I'm like Uber type A. So like this was just a nightmare for me when everything happened. I was like, what do I do? Literally, what do I do? Kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
But luckily we
I
have
know.
your guys' self-titled out that we can rock out to and scream all the words to. And we get to look forward to new music. So that's always awesome.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited for some things that we've been discussing as a band. So I think that, if we can get half of the things that we've been talking about to come to fruition, I think that it would be pretty tight.
Yeah. And where can everybody find you guys online?
So we're pretty much on all socials, just Wilmette Band. We're on Spotify, Apple Music, you can go on YouTube. Everywhere that every other artist is. I don't think we're really on SoundCloud, but I mean, this mobile SoundCloud app is trash anyway, so you probably want to listen. You probably want to listen on Spotify or Apple Music or YouTube anyway. So, but yeah, pretty much, all the videos are up on YouTube. Everything is available for streaming on any major streaming service. So we're pretty easy to find.
Yeah. So going into our coffee shop appreciation portion here at Crooners and Coffee Shops, we love our coffee, and a pandemic is not going to change that. So I went to the Los Angeles Coffee Festival. I've been 2 years in a row. They've only had 2 festivals, so I went both times. And last year they gave us this cool goodie bag, and I got this bag of coffee from Truth Coffee Roasting, and they're based out of Cape Town in South Africa, which is awesome. It tastes delicious. So shout out to Truth Coffee Roasting in South Africa. Brompton, did you get to go anywhere today, or do you have any favorite coffee shops or cafes that you would like to shout out?
I haven't been anywhere today. Like with everything going on with COVID, it's kind of hard to really get out and go places per se. Most of the time, just to kind of get me going, I'm just kind of a Dunkin' boy. Like I love me some Dunkin'.
They
But
do
when
have
it
a
comes,
good roast.
they do. And I mean, honestly, this is kind of sacrilegious, but I prefer Dunkin' over Starbucks. I just feel like it's better coffee, like just in general. And I mean, like I'm a coffee drinker, so like I understand like the differences between coffees and whatnot. I mean, yeah, I can get like crazy exotic roasts and stuff like that at Starbucks. And if I can, like I would like to, support more local coffee shops. I guess if I was gonna call out one, we have a Sip for Hope in Chicago, which is run with Hope for the Day, which is awesome. And I think it's great. Like a lot of the proceeds, or like I think all the proceeds go to like suicide prevention, great causes. I think that would be one place where I would really like to be able to go.
Yeah.
That's probably one of my first coffee stops. Once everything is over and I can like just go out and live my normal life like normally, that's where I would go.
Yeah.
But for the time being, you can catch me on my Dunkin' app, ordering and going through the drive-through.
Yes, it is the safer option. But yeah, I'll have to check them out when, or I guess if, I get to go to Riot Fest next year in Chicago. So, crossing our fingers.
I know. That was devastating. The whole thing was just, yeah,
Yeah.
terrible.
I was more upset at the fact that I was not going to see My Chemical Romance this year.
Yep, that's pretty much where I was at as well.
I had my tickets. I will have had my tickets for a year next year if it happens. No, we're staying positive when it happens.
I mean, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. So, Brompton, thank you so much for joining me today. It was awesome to get to chat with you. I hope you're staying safe in Chicago. So, we're going to get through this, and we've got Wilmette's music out now, and we are ready to rock out.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. Stay safe out there, everyone, and stay caffeinated.